Good evening and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Neelu. How are you? Thank you so much for all your story responses on yesterday's story, The Wet Pants. So, the message in this story is a friend in need is a friend indeed. Those who missed this story can go back to my IGTV channel on Instagram or I'm Neelima Neel on Facebook. You can catch me anywhere. So, coming to today's story. Today's story is from the life of Akbar and Birbal. Akbar was the emperor of ancient India, and Birbal was his clever minister. So Birbal always advised Akbar on the matters of court. So once in Akbar's kingdom, there was a farmer who needed water, who needed to source water for his fields. So he was not being able to do that. So he was thinking very hard how to get water for his fields. So then he saw his neighbor. His neighbor had a well. So he went up to his neighbor and he asked him, "Can you please give me some water?" So to this, the neighbor said that, "Look, I cannot give you any water from my well. If you want, you can buy the well." So to this, the neighbor says, "Okay, fine, then I will buy the well so that I can use the water for my fields. So that will be good." So the neighbor agrees, but he's a very cunning neighbor. So he comes to they make an agreement and he sells the well. And after a few days, as days pass by, the farmer sees that the neighbor keeps using his well every day. Yeah, he takes a lot of water and he uses for his purposes. So then the farmer says, "But you sold this well to me. Why are you using my water?" So to this, the neighbor says, "Oh, is that so? The water is mine. The well is yours. I only sold you the well. I didn't sell you the water." So the farmer says, "How is that possible? Water and well both are mine." So they keep arguing and they have a very big argument. And finally, they decide to go to the king. So they go to the court and they present themselves in front of the king. So Akbar asks them, "What is the matter?" So to this, the farmer says, "I have bought a well from this gentleman, and now he says that the well is mine, but the water is his. He owns the water." So then Akbar looks at that cunning man. So the cunning man says, "Your Majesty, I only sold him the well. I didn't sell him the water. So how is it? I mean, it is not his water, so I can use it, and that's my water." So Akbar finds it very tricky. He doesn't know what to say, so he looks at Birbal. So Birbal thinks, and he looks at him and he says, "Okay, fine. That's really good that it's your water. You only sold the well. Let's come to an agreement that well belongs to the farmer and water belongs to you. So what you do is." It's actually wrong for you to keep your water in his well. So why don't you draw all the water and take it away? Yeah. So please remove the water from his well. So to this, the cunning neighbor, yeah, gives a thought and he says, "I'm being tricked by Birbal." Yeah. So he immediately falls at his feet. He apologizes and he says, "Actually, I'm very, very sorry. I'll make peace with him. I'll let him use his water for his fields." So that's how Birbal solves the dispute. It is a very short story. Yeah. So if you cheat, you won't get anything. Yeah. Ultimately, you have to give in. Yeah. Somewhere or the other, you will be caught. That is the message in the story. If you cheat, you will be caught. So while reading this story, I remembered something very funny. Yeah, as I told you earlier in many of my stories, we used to have a huge house, and we rented one portion of that house like long back. Yeah, and there was once we rented it to many people. So once there was a couple. Yeah, two of them, they used to stay, and they were newly married, and my mother and all used to take a lot they used to take care of them. So sometimes whenever we made anything, we used to share it with them and all. Those days my father used to work somewhere else, so he was not present. So and my mother used to wait till late, and she used to chat, my neighbor used to chat with my mother and all. So there was a door in between, because our house was divided into a smaller portion. So in the smaller portion, the couple stayed. So my mother used to unlock the door, because that lady used to say, "My husband comes in late, I get very worried and I get scared, so can you please leave the door open?" So my mother used to leave the door in between open, so she would freely come to our house, sit till late, and then go back and sleep. So this continued. So my mother used to go to work in the morning. So every time my mother used to wonder, whenever she came home, she would say that the provisions were getting reduced day by day. So she would see that the rice is not how much. She would buy 10 kilos rice and it would come to some 3 4 kilos. Then, and by mid-month, yeah, she would buy provisions for the whole month, and she would see that this is like going lesser day by day. And sugar, suppose if you stacked a can of sugar, then it would come to half. My mother would say, I don't drink so much coffee alone, or nor do my children. But why is it happening like this? So one day she decided to come in the middle of her work. So she came, and suddenly she opened the door. Then she saw that this neighbor of ours was actually using all the provisions in my kitchen, yeah, freely. She was taking rice, she was taking sugar, she was taking everything, and she was going. So my mother looked at her. She was shocked. She was startled. She said, "What are you doing? You're taking everything from my house. Why don't you buy your own stuff?" So she was not even guilty. She looked at my mother and said, "This is also like my house. I can take anything I want." So to this, my mother said, "Look, you can take, but you should ask. You didn't even ask. You kept taking everything on your own." And she said, "No, no, it's okay. I can take. I know that you're a very nice person. I'll take." So my mother told her, "From today, this door will be closed. Please don't mind, but I don't like you using things like this." So that's how that problem was settled. So I remembered this while reading this story. So there are people who are very cunning, and they cover up when they cheat, they cover it up also very nicely. Yeah. And she was not even guilty about it. So what you remembered, you please share it in your comments. I'll respond to all the comments related to the story. And I'll see you tomorrow here again only on Bedtime Stories with Neelu with another new story. Till then, sleep well, take care, wake up with a fresh thought and a big dream, and gather the strength and courage to fulfill your dreams. Yeah, good night.